From Hornbill Festival of Nagaland to the Monetary Policy Committee, we have some really good articles for today from The Hindu and Indian Express. So we will be covering them as part of our daily news analysis. So let's start this with this daily motivation. This quote says, "One step at a time and you will get there." Usually we have this habit of doing multiple stuffs at a time and then we get demotivated. We all know that we have to read, we have to revise, we have to do so many subjects. All these tasks are there. But when we look at it in this way, wherein we are looking all of them at once, it seems impossible. But if you do one task at a time and get into it, do the deep work, wherein you are just focusing on one work at a time and have given some timeline to it, just complete that target. This is the way you actually complete that target and overall you reach to that goal where you want to reach. So just one step at a time and you will certainly get there. Okay. So now, before starting with our daily news analysis, one notification from Narayana IAS Academy wherein the admissions are open for our 1 year and 2 year courses. The students who are preparing for 2026, they can look for this 1 year course, and those who are preparing for 2027, they can look for this second 2 years prelims cum mains complete integrated course. In this course, we will be having somewhere around 1000+ hours of course lectures, wherein 800 hours are allocated for GS and CSAT and more than 200 hours for the current affairs. Here you will be getting micro schedule, completely prepared micro schedule, wherein we have segregated the syllabus topics given in the UPSC notification, and we'll be covering each and every aspect of that micro schedule. We have expert faculties who will be taking care of all of this, and there will be regular testing. There will be weekly test, there will be revision test, wherein you will be solving more than 4000 prelims questions, more than 1000 mains practice questions. So you will be preparing in a holistic manner. Then you have these kits available wherein you will be getting Navigator NCRT books, you will be getting GS Navigator books, you will be getting monthly Navigator magazine for your current affairs, and you will be having some access to our digital resources. So overall, this is the plan. Okay. Now let's start with our daily news analysis. Right now, we have taken 6 most important articles. The first article is related to manufacturing industry. We are saying that the manufacturing sector specifically is something we have to focus. Government is focusing also. They are launching Make in India 2.0. They are working really hard. Somewhere we are going in a right direction, but the target is yet to be achieved. So we'll understand what is the status of manufacturing sector in India in detail. Second article is related to Reserve Bank of India and Monetary Policy Committee. Recently, a meeting was held through which we got to know that the stance of Monetary Policy Committee is of neutral nature. They have not changed the repo rate. They have kept it as it is. So we'll understand it in detail. Third is related to silicosis. Now, this is something new to hear. The workers working in the mining industry, they are getting a new disease, a new problem because of silica. So that we'll understand here. The fourth article is related to Hornbill Festival in Nagaland. Very interesting festival, and we'll understand what kind of controversy is going on over there in Nagaland because of the alcohol consumption. The fifth article is related to Pragati platform, and sixth one is related to Indira Gandhi Peace Prize. Okay. So without wasting much time, we'll directly start with our first topic, that is of manufacturing sector. Now you need to know about manufacturing sector because anyway for Indian economy this is a major sector, right? For our GDP, for our employment, and in the UPSC syllabus also for prelims and mains it becomes important. In mains GS paper 3 we talk about Indian economy and related planning, mobilization, resources, growth, everything. So here the role of manufacturing sector is of key importance. Now you can look at this previous year question. It says account for the failure of manufacturing sector in achieving the goal of labor intensive exports. Suggest measures for more labor intensive rather than capital intensive exports. Now, this question is specifically focusing on the manufacturing sector where we have somewhat failed. See, this is something being said about Indian economy, that our economy is growing. Our economy is growing with a really good speed. We can say we are one of the fastest growing economy. But there is a term we use, that we have jobless growth. We have growth, but we don't have jobs. Much jobs are not getting created. And the same thing is being asked in this question, that we have created industries, our exports has increased, but labor intensive export, we are not seeing that. Labor intensive means the industries where there will be more people working, more laborers working, so there will be more jobs, right? So you need to have a brief idea about it. Now, first of all, the context why this news is there, or why some articles are being written on this particular topic, because it is being said that government had brought the production linked incentive scheme to boost manufacturing in India, and that scheme is working. We are getting some good results because of such schemes, and we are saying that our manufacturing sector is actually transforming. So, first of all, what is the present status? Let's understand the present status of our manufacturing sector. Before that, what is manufacturing sector? A very basic stuff. See, we have different sectors. One is primary sector. When we talk about agriculture, there was a time when most of our economy was run by agriculture. Maximum share of our GDP used to come from agriculture. But with time, we started focusing on industries and service sector. So industries comes under the manufacturing. So when we talk about manufacturing, we are converting or transforming a raw material into a finished good. So for example, you have potato, you make you make some changes in it and you make a wafer packet. So that is a kind of manufacturing, you can say. So overall, when you look at this sector, the importance of this sector lies in one important fact, that it is labor intensive. Most of the manufacturing part would require maximum numbers of laborers, so people will be getting jobs over here, and you do not need very high skill to work in manufacturing sector. So even if you are semi skilled, low skilled, then you can be absorbed in the manufacturing sector. Apart from manufacturing, we have service sector. So people working in the IT sector, they are working in service sector. In such sectors, you require very high skill. So in India right now, whatever GDP comes up, maximum amount comes from the service sector. We have a really good service sector right now. But we have people who are not so skilled to get into service sector. That's why the problem of Indian economy, where we see that there is very high unemployment, people are not getting jobs, the solution lies in manufacturing sector, because it is labor intensive. You can put many people over here. So the people who are working in agriculture, people who are working in service sector, if you look at the graph, you'll understand maximum people are still there in agriculture. You need to absorb, you need to get those people out of agriculture and put them in manufacturing. Here you will get more jobs. Okay. So now there are so many industries which are key part of this manufacturing sector. For example, automobiles, chemicals, electronics, textiles, steel, aircraft, refined petroleum, and there are so many. Okay. Now look at the status. What is the present status? Right now, if you look at the entire GDP of India, Indian economy, out of that 16 to 17% comes from manufacturing sector. Now, 16 to 17% is relatively very low. We are targeting to at least make it 25%. Now, this is a target we want to achieve. And this target was being discussed in the economic survey of 2023. They said that we can achieve this target by the year 2030. But for that, we have to continue making efforts. Sustained efforts are required. So right now, government is taking many actions. Like we talked about Make in India scheme. We are talking about this production linked incentives. Government many times comes up with some reforms for ease of doing business, so that new industries can be set up, so that foreign direct investment FDI can come up. So government is taking those actions. Such actions, if continued, then we can achieve this target. This is what economic survey is saying. Okay. Then second part is employment. How many people are employed? So around 27 million people are already there, directly involved in the manufacturing sector. And because it is labor intensive, we can make this number even 2 times, 3 times if we focus on this sector. Right? Now, look at the export potential. Right now, the data of financial year 2022-23 says that the export from this manufacturing sector is somewhere around 418 billion US dollar. Now this is something big, because if you compare it with the financial year of 2021-22, that is just 1 year before, if you compare this data, you will see 40% of growth. Now this is something unique. We are seeing that 40% growth is there. If we sustain this growth, we can certainly see some really good results out of it. And when we are our export from manufacturing sector is growing, that shows that in the international market the demand is high, and India is able to sell its product in the international market. Those products are Indian made in India product, right? So this is a good news for us, we can say. Then one thing we can understand, that right now there are some sectors, some segments where industries are growing. These are going to be new markets, new industries, which have the potential to become very large. So whenever there is some change in technology, we see some industries suddenly come up. Those industries are called as sunrise industries. So just like sun rises, similarly that industry also rises. For example, recently we saw artificial intelligence coming into picture. Now this is a sunrise industry. It will become larger with time. It has the potential to grow. Similarly, there are so many other industries, and we can actually tap that particular industry. If India can manufacture things related to these things, which are having the capacity of becoming sunrise industry, then India can grow. For example, electric vehicles. We are yet to transition into electric vehicles. We just have very few electric vehicles right now on road. But we know that we are going to transition into electric vehicles. There will be a time when there will be less diesel engine vehicles and there will be more electric vehicles. So if India can tap this, that would be a good opportunity, right? Then renewable energy technologies, space technologies, all these are the areas where India can work and set up its manufacturing plants, right? Now, what kind of challenges this manufacturing sector is facing at this particular moment? First of all, the core problem with India's manufacturing sector lies in its distribution. If you see the industries which are located, if you see the locations on the map, you'll see that most of them are located in only few states. These states include Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, and Uttar Pradesh. Around 50% or even more than 50% of industries are located in these four states only. So what will happen with those states which are not so industrialized, which are backward? You talk about Jharkhand, you talk about Bihar, Odisha, or even the northeastern part of India. All these states, they are not in a position to contribute in the manufacturing sector. So this is a core problem, we can say. Then second problem is lack of skilled labor force. See, we have 140 crore people, but we have a population which is not skilled enough to get into the job. So this problem lies in the service sector as well as manufacturing sector. Now the problem is, if you want to work in the industry, you need to have at least some basic skill set. And if that is not present, then you can't get a job. Now for that, government needs to provide skills to people. That's why we talk about skill development program. Many a time government launches such programs to deal with this particular problem. Now there is one more problem related to women participation. See, we have a substantial women population, but that women population is not part of our workforce. Especially when it comes to manufacturing sector, women are not much part of it. If you just increase the number of women in the manufacturing sector, you will see a substantial growth over here. You will see more employment over here. right? Then there are some challenges from government side also. Whenever government tries to regulate this sector, or overall they are trying to regulate, then there are some problems which get created. For example, in India it is said that acquiring land is a very tough thing. Even if a company wants to set up their manufacturing plant in India, let's say Elon Musk wants to come here, set up a plant over here in India, but when they want to set up, they need some land, and acquiring land is something very difficult in India, right? A very challenging task, we can say. Even government sometimes finds it very difficult. Then there is challenge related to labor laws. So India already has brought some implementation, means they have some reforms, some of the labor laws. They are trying to make it better, but the point is they are not yet implemented. Okay, so we are still awaiting that. So whenever some companies they are trying to invest in India, they first check the labor laws. They want the labor laws to be relatively flexible. If they are very strict, very tough, then there will not be ease of doing business. They will not be much interested in setting up their manufacturing plant in India, right? Then we have one more problem, that we are very much dependent on China. So whenever we want to make something in India, for that, sometimes we require some raw materials which we have to bring from China. There is dependence on China, which is not a good thing. If suddenly, because of any reason, China stops providing us those raw materials, how would our industry work? For example, we have pharmaceutical industry. We say that we have a really good, very strong pharmaceutical industry. But some of the raw materials like APIs, we take from China. If they stop giving it, then it's very tough for our industry to work. And at last, the problem lies in our logistics. Logistics means when you send one package from one place to another. Obviously, if you have manufactured something in Hyderabad, you want to send it to Mumbai or you want to send it to Europe, then something will have to carry it. There will be a truck in which you will put it. The truck will go. But that truck will actually increase the cost of that product. If the product cost is 14 rupees, the truck will say, I'll also take some margin because I have to travel. So this is called logistic cost. Now, logistic cost in India is relatively higher than any other country. When we look at the global standard or global benchmark, when we compare ourselves with Europe, USA, China, etc., etc., we see that their logistic cost is somewhere around 8%. Somewhere around 8%. And in India, it is somewhere around 14 to 18%. Now, this is not a good news, right? Already government is working on this. Specifically, the Minister of Transport has said that we are going to work on this and we are going to reduce it and make it somewhere around 8% or even 5%. They were saying that at least we'll try to bring it to 8%. So let's see what happens. Now, government has already come up with many initiatives and they're working hard on this manufacturing sector. So one of the program is Make in India. So it was launched in the year 2014. They worked. After that, they felt that there's a need to make some changes. There's a need to expand it. There's a need to focus on some sectors. So they brought this Make in India 2.0 in the year 2020, right? So Make in India wants that FDI should come. Companies like for example, Elon Musk, we took the example. Elon Musk should come and set up a plant over here in India. Make in India wants that. We want the products should be produced, manufactured in India itself, right? Then we have these production linked incentive schemes. What does it mean? That some incentive is given to companies if they do the production, if they increase the production. So if a company is there who is able to increase the production, government will give some incentive, some tax benefit or something will be provided, some subsidy will be provided. Such things are motivational, or they incentivize companies to work towards more production, that means manufacturing. Then in India, we have some special economic zones. Now, this is a very good concept. In the special economic zones, these are just like some areas are allocated where if a company comes, they can set up their plant over there in this area. In this area, if you're there, if your company is there, government will be providing high class services over there. For example, you will get 24 by 7 electricity, water, all those supplies which are required for a company to grow. Everything will be provided in this area, that will be available. And secondly, some kind of tax holiday or tax benefit is given. So let's say government might say that for next 4 years, 5 years, you don't need to pay any tax. Okay, if you are setting up a company in special economic zone, right? So this is a tactic or technique to grow our manufacturing sector, right? Then we have this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So here government's focus had remained how we can become more capable indigenously, how we can make products on our own, not being dependent on other countries. So this is something we have been focusing. We have the startup India also, manufacturing sector actually grows. Okay, now let me check if you have any doubts. No doubts. Okay, so at last, whatever challenges we discussed, whatever initiatives we discussed, we should have some recommendations or solutions to go ahead with. For example, this National Manufacturing Innovation Survey, they said that we need to focus on R&D, research and development. If we focus on this part, we can make our manufacturing industry better. Then we can do one thing, we can connect industry and academics. See, we have colleges, we have, for example, engineering colleges, and we have industry. If we bring some connection between them, then the research and development will be better, there will be innovation, the new young minds will come up with new innovations, creativity, and that can be a good product for the industry. So overall both can go ahead. The second recommendation given by Confederation of Indian Industry, they said that if you want that the GDP contribution of manufacturing sector to become 25%, you need to do at least these three things. First, improve the infrastructure that is there in India. Second, whatever input cost is there, you have to reduce that. How will you reduce? Well, first of all, you reduce the logistic cost. You ensure that you don't need to buy things from foreign markets, so that that import cost can be reduced. And then simplify your regulatory process. For example, we brought this reform in terms of GST, right? So such reforms are required wherein the regulatory process is very easy, and for businesses to work, it should become easy. If a person wants to set up a business in India, if it is taking 10-15 days just for the documentation purpose, then that is not a good thing, right? Then there are other recommendations too. For example, we can focus more on MSMEs. See, those small or medium sized industries, they are really good. Why? Because first of all, you require very less capital, so many people can actually start with this. Second, these are more labor intensive. Many people will be working here. You will get more jobs. This you can even do at the rural area also. And third thing, if you look at the entire GDP contribution from manufacturing sector, if you consider it overall 100%, around 50%, somewhere around 45% is coming from MSME itself. That means these small scale industries are very important for us. We should focus on them. Then bring in women. Women's participation in the workforce should be increased. And at last, we said that we have only 3-4 states where maximum industries are located. So government has to come up with a policy wherein they ensure that the backward regions or the areas which are underdeveloped, there also we see industries developing. Okay, all this is important, and I guess right now you are in a position to understand this manufacturing sector in detail. Okay, now one notification again from Narayana IAS Academy, wherein we have one initiative called Samvad. As part of Samvad, we come up with a guest who gives us some insights on some interesting topics. For example, we have this topic called freedom, equality and justice for all. On this topic, there will be a discussion. There will be a panel, there will be a discussion, and for discussion we have Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan. Now, I invite you, all of you, to join the session wherein you will get really good insights through Samvad. So on 10th December, 10:30 to 12 noon, you will be having this session, and you can join this through the QR code you must be getting on the screen to register. Done? So we're done with first article. That was very important. Now, now the second article is related to Indian Economy Monetary Policy Committee. So recently Monetary Policy Committee was set up. Okay, just give me 1 second. Vinod AC. Okay, so Monetary Policy Committee. This topic is important for your prelims as well as mains. In prelims you will get questions. In mains also they might ask. Okay, so just stay ready for this. Now look at this previous year question. You can read the question. You'll understand that they're asking about Monetary Policy Committee's stance. What was their action? What it exactly shows. Okay, so such application based questions or conceptual questions from the Monetary Policy Committee can be asked. Okay, now let's start with what's happening exactly. So recently a meeting was held of this Monetary Policy Committee. This committee said that we are going to ensure that the repo rate in India, which was 6.5% earlier, we are keeping it as it is. We are not changing it at all. So it is the same. And why we are doing this? Because of high inflation and slowing growth. Right now in India, we are observing that the inflation is becoming higher. So the prices of products are increasing. So this they observed. Apart from that, they are also observing that the growth which they expected earlier, that India will grow with this speed, that is also getting little bit downgraded or slowed down. So considering these two things, they said that we will keep the repo rate as it is. Now we'll understand what is repo rate and all. Now first of all, the term monetary policy you should understand. There are two types of policies. One is monetary policy, another one is fiscal policy. Monetary policy, whenever we use this term, it is about controlling or managing the supply of money. See, in India, money supply, let's say RBI is printing cash and that cash is coming up, that money supply has to be controlled. If it is not controlled, suddenly you will see that inflation is rising. There won't be any stability in the market. So if you want there should be stability, you have to ensure that the inflation is there in a particular range only, it doesn't become very high. So that money supply has to be controlled, and that is done by our monetary policy committee. In every country their central bank takes care of it. There are some members from government also. So here in India we have monetary policy committee specifically to do this task. Okay, now look at this monetary policy committee. It has total 6 members, out of which 3 will be from RBI, which includes RBI governor, deputy governor and one more member, and 3 members from government side. So central government will nominate 3 members. So interesting body we can say. Now earlier this body was not there in India, but Urjit Patel committee suggested that we should have an independent body who can come up with monetary policy decisions or monetary policy. So in the year 2016, government amended this RBI Act of 1934 and introduced this monetary policy committee. So now it is set up under this particular act. Now the primary task of this committee is to decide what will be repo rate in India. Now what is repo rate? See, in India, we have a central bank, that is RBI. And we have so many commercial banks. We have so many banks over here like SBI or any other bank you can say. Now what RBI does is, if these banks require some money, then RBI gives them some loan. Okay. And that loan for a short time period, when the loan is being given, the rate of that loan is called as repo rate. This repo rate means the rate at which RBI is lending to these banks. Now this rate matters a lot. Why? Because if the interest rate is low, very low. What will happen? These banks will start taking more money from RBI because the interest rate is very low. What they'll do, they'll take the loan at, let's say, 1%, and then they will give loan to other people just like us, the consumers, at, let's say, 8%, and they will earn the profit. Very simple. But in case RBI increases this rate, what will happen? They'll not take money from RBI. So they'll not give money to customers like us also. So this is the way RBI actually controls money supply. So if they want that more money should be there in the market, they will simply reduce this rate, repo rate. And if they want that more money should not be there, we should control it, what they'll do? They'll just increase the rate and there will be less credit available in the market. Okay, so this is repo rate, which is decided by this monetary policy committee. Now this committee has to meet at least 4 times in a year. At least 4 times. Whenever they meet, there is a quorum. The quorum is of 4 people. That means at least 4 people should be there. Then only we say that the meeting is taking place. Now in that quorum, we expect governor should be there. In case governor is not there, governor of RBI obviously, then we should have at least deputy governor. So there is some importance given to the RBI in this monetary policy committee. Now, whenever the decision has to be taken, it is taken by a majority vote. Now, we have 3 people from RBI and 3 from government. So, just understand this thing. You need at least 4 votes. For a majority vote, you need 4, right? Because 3-3 tie. So, 4 votes. So, this is how vote takes place. And in case there is a tie, the RBI governor will have a casting vote, an additional kind of vote which he can give. And whatever this monetary policy comes up with, if they decide that repo rate will be 2%, 6%, 7%, whatever, that is final. RBI will have to accept it as it is and implement it. They can't go against the order or the decision of monetary policy committee. Okay. Now, what has happened recently? The key outcomes of this recent meeting of monetary policy committee. First thing they said that repo rate, this will remain as it is. Neither they have increased nor they have reduced. Now this is very interesting. We said that if they want to control money supply, they will increase it. If they want more money in the market, they will reduce it. They have done nothing. Why they have done this? Because they are observing one trend wherein in India inflation is increasing. If suddenly inflation will increase, that will not be a good thing. Okay, people will find it very difficult. So they are not ready to decrease it because inflation is increasing. They are not even ready to increase is because they are not ready to decrease it or increase it because there is slowing growth also. That economic growth is slowing down. If it is slowing down, one of the solution is increase the money supply. So overall, we have 2 different conditions because of which they are saying we'll do nothing. We'll keep it as it is. Now there is one more reason which they have considered is the global risk. For example, right now we have a situation wherein geopolitical conflicts are either starting or getting ignited. Right now Trump has got elected, so he might come up with a trade war again with China. Earlier we saw the trade war. Similar kind of thing can be there now. There are conflicts going on in Middle East, in Russia, Ukraine. We don't know, a new conflict might start again. So there is uncertainty in terms of geopolitics. Then there is uncertainty in terms of weather also. Sometimes we see adverse weather condition, climate change phenomena are going on and all. So considering all this, they have come up with this solution. Also, the Monetary Policy Committee earlier had thought that the India's growth rate would be somewhere around 7.2% in this year 2024-25, but now they have reduced it, downgraded it to 6.6%. This shows that RBI or the Monetary Policy Committee is actually acknowledging, they're saying that yes, there is some problem in this quarter, we are seeing some kind of slowdown in our economy. They are accepting this fact over here. Then at last, this we discussed already about the Monetary Policy Committee. Now just keep it aside and think about RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India also decides one thing called cash reserve ratio. So apart from that Monetary Policy Committee's repo rate, we have one more option through which we can control money supply. So there is a system which called as cash reserve ratio. It says that all these banks, these commercial banks and all, they have to keep some amount of money of theirs as a reserve with the RBI. They have to keep, let's say they have 100 rupees with them, they have to keep, let's say, 2 rupees, 5 rupees with RBI. This is cash reserve ratio which they have to keep. Now the amount what it will be, that can be decided by RBI. It could be 4%, it can be 5%, 6% or 1% also. If they increase it, that means you have to keep more amount with RBI. So this is how RBI also tries to control money supply. So right now what they have done is they have reduced it 15 basis points. So this is also something very important. And this, why they have reduced it? When they reduce, that means there will be more money supply or money available with banks. So they have done this because they saw that in the banking system, money supply had got reduced. The liquidity is very less. They want substantial money to be there with people or the banks. So that's why they have done this. So bit technical article this is, but you should at least know what is repo rate, what is monetary policy committee, what is the CRR. These basics are important for examination, especially prelims. Okay, done with the second article. Now, let's move ahead with the third article, that is related to mine workers. These mining workers are facing a problem called silicosis, a new disease we are seeing right now, and many workers in the mining sector, they are very much concerned because of this. Now, is this topic important? Obviously important, that's why we are discussing. It's important for prelims more than mains. In mains, you may be asked a question related to mining sector, mining or the challenges in mining or issues that are going on. So when you're discussing about mining, you can also discuss about this disease. But more importance could be there in the prelims exam. So you can read this previous year question, wherein question has been asked on a particular disease, in this case Zika virus disease. So similar question can be expected on silicosis also. Okay. Now, right now we are observing surge, that is increase, sudden rise in the incidence of cases wherein mining workers are facing this problem or disease of silicosis. So what is silicosis? The term silica is actually showing what is silicosis. So we have this silicon dioxide, SiO2. If any person is exposed to this silicon dioxide, if the person is inhaling this silicon dioxide for a very long duration, let's say for since last 10 years, a person is inhaling this SiO2, then that person may get infected with this disease called silicosis. Now, who are these people? Usually these people are those who are working in a construction or quarrying or any mining activity. In that area, you will be exposed to SiO2. And because the person is working in that industry since a long time, then obviously prolonged inhalation will be there. And that's why their lungs will get affected. Because of this SiO2, the lungs get affected in such a way that you may be affected through a lung cancer, pneumoconiosis, pulmonary tuberculosis. All these diseases become common in such persons. So lung is directly affected. So what we expect is government needs to come up with some solution for this. Now already we have some constitutional protections, legal protections regarding such issues, because if a person is working in a factory, working in the mining sector, in that case government or the constitution has already provided some protection which says that these people should be protected. There can be a health risk, so those should be protected. For example, we have Article 24. If you read Article 24, there is this clause which says, no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine engaged in any hazardous employment. So any child less than 14 years of age cannot be taken into a factory which is considered hazardous. So mining is more or less very hazardous most of the times. So this clause is clearly saying that it should not be there, right? So it is protecting. Second, Article 39 we have. You read this clause of Article 39. It says health and strength of workers, men and women, and even these children. This is given importance in this article. So this is part of your DPSP. So government is bound to take action accordingly. Then we have Article 42, again part of DPSP. It says state shall make provision for securing just and humane conditions of work and for maternity relief. That means wherever a person is working, the condition should be humane. A person should be working just like human and not like an animal. So that is there over here in this article. All these articles are supporting the idea that the health condition of a person working in these sectors or mining and all is important. That is a concerning point. Now, if you look at the seventh schedule of the Constitution, we have union list, we have state list, we have concurrent list. So in the union list, regulation of labor and safety in mines and major ports is given in union list. That means it is central government's responsibility to take actions in this particular subject. Then in the concurrent list, we have factory regulation. Concurrent list means both state and central government can come up with some legislation, can take some actions. So the responsibility lies on both state and central government in ensuring the health, a good health of these citizens. Okay. Apart from these constitutional protections, we have some laws. This is the list of these laws which have some provisions which talk about something related to the health of these people. So whether it is Factories Act, Mines Act, all these acts, you can read them if you want to. I'm just giving you a brief. Even in the notes, you will be provided with some information on these acts. Now, these cases are very important for you. So, for example, this Consumer Education Act, Education and Research Center versus Union of India, 1995. In this case, court said that we have Article 21, which says we have right to life and personal liberty. This article was interpreted by Supreme Court in such a manner, they said that even right to health is part of this article, even if it is not mentioned there. So right to health, when you say that it is a fundamental right, it is the state's responsibility to ensure that the people working in this industry do not go through any such harmful disease. It is state's responsibility. Then we have this Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India 1984 case. This case, court gave some guidelines. They said that we are making it mandatory for ensuring safe working condition, especially in the mining industry. So in mining industry, if there is a worker who is working, then his safety has to be ensured at any cost, right? So important case, we can say. Clear? Now we are having three more articles, out of which we will discuss one because two are already done. I'll tell you which two are these two. So now the fourth article of the day. Now this article is related to Hornbill Festival. Hornbill Festival is very famous festival in the state of Nagaland. Okay, every year we see this festival and it is celebrated widely. Many visitors from India, even from the international world, they come and visit Nagaland for this festival. So many tourists are coming. Last year I heard somewhere around 1.5 lakh tourists were there part of this festival. So it's an important festival, we can say. But it is in news because of this alcohol sale or alcohol consumption in the state of Nagaland. So we should have a brief idea about this. Specifically, this Hornbill Festival is very important for your prelims as well as mains. Okay. Now, look at this previous year question. Right? You can read the question. I'm just trying to tell you that this great Indian hornbill as a species was in news and was asked directly by UPSC. And we're talking about Hornbill Festival. So you can get an idea that such questions are asked in the examination. Right? Now, let's move ahead with the context. Now, if you look at Nagaland as a state, in Nagaland, alcohol is completely banned. You can't sell alcohol, you're not supposed to buy it, sell it, distribute it. So it is banned under this Nagaland Liquor Total Prohibition Act of 1989. But right now what happened, because this Hornbill Festival is going on, right now it is going on, it goes on for a few days, let's say for 10 days. So government said, government of Nagaland, for these few days we will allow the sale of liquor in the state of Nagaland only for these days, for these tourists, because there will be foreign tourists coming up. So for them we are allowing this liquor. And even in this festival also, Hornbill Festival, the tribal communities of Nagaland, they prepare a local liquor, a local alcohol made up of rice. We call it rice beer also. That is also prepared. So government is somewhat relaxing this particular law. But when government said that we are doing this, many organizations started criticizing government. They are opposing this move of government, especially the church bodies are saying this thing. So first of all, we want to know what is this Hornbill Festival. Well, this festival started in the year 2000. It was started by Government of Nagaland, and it is done annually, that is yearly basis. Every year there will be a festival. Now the major initiative, or the major reason behind this festival was to bring all the Naga tribes together. They wanted that we have different types, somewhere around 14 tribes are there in Nagaland, let's say for example. We can unite all the 14 through these programs, these festivals, they will become one. That was the idea. Also, because we will have such festival, then many tourists will come to Nagaland. So when tourists will come, they will buy something, they will live there, they will do some expenditure. So this will boost the economy of Nagaland. So when people will come, they will spend money. So some kind of local economy will come up. So tourism is given importance over here. But now when this alcohol thing has come into picture, so some kind of controversy is going on right now, we can say. Okay. So this festival is highly important for you to remember for the examination, right? Now, we have two more articles, but we have already covered these articles as part of our daily news analysis. For example, this article, Indira Gandhi Peace Prize to be conferred on Michelle Bachelet. Now, we had already covered this part in the daily news analysis session of 20th November. Over here, you see Indira Gandhi Peace Prize. So, you will get the link in the comment box. You can directly reach out to this article over here. Okay. Then the another article, platforms like Pragati. So Pragati platform we have already covered as part of DNA of 3rd December. Here, Pragati System. So again, the link will be provided. You can directly watch this video. Okay. Now the time for questions. First, let's discuss the mains question of today. Question is, discuss the key challenges faced by India's manufacturing sector and suggest measures to overcome these obstacles for sustainable growth. I want you people to think about it. I'll just wait for 1 minute. I want you to just think about the answer. What can be written in this question? Done? See, a very straightforward and simple question. They are asking what are the key challenges faced by India's manufacturing sector? That is the first body part. And suggest the measures. What solution do you propose? We had discussed some recommendations given by different people. For example, that CII, they had given some recommendations. That is part of your answer. So when you first write the introduction, in the introduction you can show India's manufacturing sector, you can talk about the GDP contribution of this sector, the people working there. All this data can be very important while introducing. Okay, you can show the status in the introduction itself. Then in the body part, discuss all these challenges, that the industries are concentrated in few states only. Give the example of Maharashtra, give the example of Uttar Pradesh. Then you can talk about skill labor shortage is there, women participation is less, import dependence is there, our regulatory challenges are there, logistic cost, mention that we have 14% logistic cost, we want to make it 8%. All these are challenges, and then give the solution also. Talk about some government schemes also. So solutions could be do the regional balance, give some skills to the people so that they can get part of their become part of this industry, reduce the dependence. So all these challenges which we discussed, we are just giving solutions for each of the challenge. Okay, then discuss some government initiatives and then conclude finally that working on this manufacturing sector is certainly important. We have a target. You can mention about the economic survey, what it exactly said. All this can be mentioned, and you have to give an optimistic conclusion wherein you show the path ahead is going to be really, really bright. We can certainly making India work out. Okay. Now, some of the questions of yesterday's daily news analysis. So we discussed the questions, we didn't discuss the answer. So today we'll discuss that. First question, consider the following statements regarding Finance Commission of India. Finance Commission of India is a permanent body established under Article 280 of the Constitution. Absolutely wrong. It is not a permanent body. We actually create it. So every 4 or 5 years, government sets up Finance Commission. It is not a permanent body. Okay. Then second, Finance Commission is responsible for recommending the distribution of financial resources between union and states. Absolutely right. So only 2 is the right answer. Then a factual question, under which of the follow which article of the Indian Constitution is Hindi designated as official language of the Union? So it's a factual question. You should just remember it directly. Article 343 is the right answer. And then third question was this Punat Sangchu and Punat Sangchu 2 hydroelectric projects which were recently in the news are related to which country? Now we discussed this yesterday because India-Bhutan relations were being discussed, right? So this project is there in Bhutan. Now as a homework, we have some questions for today's articles. I request all of you to attempt these questions directly from the link given in the comment box or description box, wherein you will directly be reaching out to our website and attempting these questions. You'll get the explanation also, you'll get the answer also over there. First question about Monetary Policy Committee. It's a 6-member body consisting of 3 members from RBI, 3 members from government. MPC was formally introduced by an amendment to this RBI Act 1934 in 2016, and RBI governor does not have a casting vote in case of a tie in MPC decision making. It's a very easy question. We have discussed the article. Very easy to answer. Second, consider the following statements with reference to silicosis. It's caused by prolonged inhalation of silicon dioxide that is found in abundance in sand, rocks, quartz. And Mines Act 1952 requires dust control measures and monitoring of air quality in mines. Now, when we showed the legal provisions that are available, one of them was this Mines Act 1952, right? So this is relatively a difficult question to answer, but not that difficult. We can call it moderate question. So you can attempt this question too. Then the third question is related to Hornbill Festival of Nagaland. So this was initiated in 2000 and held annually at this Kisama Heritage Village near Kohima and showcases the culture of 14 recognized Naga tribes. The festival exclusively focuses on religious rituals and does not include the display of local crafts, music or dances. So you can attempt this question too again. Now this time this question is relatively on the difficult side, but if you have got the idea of Hornbill Festival, then you can answer it. Okay, so these are the questions we expect you to answer. I hope you understood. Let's meet in the next session. Thank you so much.